Welcome to Life Recovery Today, brought to you by New Life. If you're feeling stuck in addiction, grief, anxiety, or broken relationships, you're not alone. Over the next half hour, you'll discover practical tools and biblical truth from the 12 steps of life recovery, designed to help you heal, grow, and thrive. Because recovery isn't just about what you're giving up, it's about who you're becoming. Whether you're new to recovery or looking to go deeper, we have resources to guide you. Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and real stories of transformation. You can start your journey today on your own, in a group, or through your church. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to take the next step. This is your time for healing, hope, and freedom. This is Life Recovery Today.
Hi there, Steve Arterburn here, and welcome to Life Recovery Today. Now, of course, I don't know what you're struggling with, but whatever it is, an emotion, a habit, an addiction, Life Recovery can help. Brand new resource, I want to remind you of this, I've mentioned it before, but every believer's thought life, it is the way to defeat the destructive mental patterns. And by the way, on Amazon there was a review that this is a silver bullet to knowing what God wants for your life. Well, you know, here's something that we want. When we want change in our lives, we want it to last. But how can it last? We want to quit the habit and we want to be successful. And we are successful for a while. But then, there it is, we relapse or we just fall back, backslide, return to the same habit. How can we have lasting change? Isn't that really what you want? Is a change that never ends. Well, in this episode, I'm going to share with you how simple changes can make a difference for an entire lifetime. So, here's the thing. In this book, Every Believer's Thought Life, I quote a great old minister whose sermon title became very, very popular, The Expulsive Power of a Higher Affection. So here's what he's saying. You can't just quit something for it to be lasting. You have to love something more. It's not that you're putting something behind, getting it out of your life. Don't just do that. It'll come back unless you fill it with something much, much more valuable. To me, that higher affection is the higher power that we want to love, that we want to strive for, and sometimes we don't. We stay stuck because our shame is so great. I hope that this episode, me talking about lasting change, might give you the ability, the insight to make the choices, tough choices you need to make so that whatever change you need, you make it and it lasts for a lifetime. Here are some elements of lasting change right out of the book of James. Now, if you know anything about the 12 steps, and I've talked about it, the book of James is a big part of where many of the principles and concepts of the 12 steps came. But look at this. I'm just going to give you some references, and I'm going to tell you what they are, but if you'll write them down, you can go back and look at this. Wisdom is the foundation of lasting change. And you're going to find that in James 1 through 27. Faith is the substance of lasting change, and you're going to find that in James 2 1 through 26. Self-control sets and maintains boundaries for lasting change, and that's James 3 1 through 18. Humility is the attitude of lasting change, and you'll find that in James 4 1 through 17. And giving of ourself is the evidence of lasting change, and that's James 5 1 through 20. Now, being human, we tend to hear God's word and we don't do anything about it. That's called hypocrisy. When we talk about it, read it, don't do anything about it. So if we want lasting change, which is what weight loss should be about, not just getting the weight off, but what we put into ourselves. We need wisdom, we need faith, self-control, humility, and a generosity of giving of ourselves. The Oxford groups, we've talked about this before, but the Oxford groups were the groups that Dr. Bob and Bill W. attended and before they formed Alcoholics Anonymous. And they had the 4 absolutes. And these 4 absolutes are important if anybody's going to lose weight and keep it off. Absolute honesty. You're either honest or you're not. You either minimize things or exaggerate things or you don't. Absolute purity. Now there's no little bit pure. It's either purity or it isn't. Absolute purity. And then absolute love. You got to love yourself, love God, and love other people. And this last one is the tough one. Absolute unselfishness. Now, I know a lot of people, they've been in recovery 20 years. They're the most self-centered, selfish people I've ever met. It's all about them. If they're in a group, all they want to do is talk about themselves and what they've done. They're not interested in other people. They're interested in other people knowing what they know, but they absolutely are hypocrites because this absolute of being unselfish, they don't even understand what it means. They think they have it, but they absolutely don't. So some people believe that the Oxford group absolutes, they're a compilation of all the teachings of Christ in 4 principles. And if you look at them, you really could make a case that that is true, that Jesus taught honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love, and that He also lived that out. So that brings us, we want lasting change based on this. It brings us to the Lose It for Life program. It's not a diet. It's a program that's going to address a person's, many parts of the person and what they're doing. For instance, it addresses the activities that a person is involved with. Do you move or not move? Before I started losing weight, I was smoking, I was out of shape, overweight, and literally it was a problem for me to walk around the block. Okay, so you go from that to running a marathon at age 40, you'd have to say, well, there was some lasting change that went on there. I wasn't just talking about it. Also, it addresses consumption. What am I putting in this body? And then it addresses, and we've done a whole thing on emotional eating, it addresses the emotions that lead to eating, the unresolved stuff, we got to deal with that. The spiritual has to be a foundation of all, relational, and then developmental. All that's included in the expanded version of Lose It for Life. And the book and the workbook are available, and I think it's one of the greatest tools. I wrote it with Dr. Linda Mental. I think it gives you tremendous insight into how do you lose weight and keep it off. Again, a lot of things are going to help you lose weight, but you have to have a way to help people keep it off. Now, we want people to understand that if they're going to be involved in any kind of weight loss, they're going to be hungry. But we have to be precise in our language about hunger. I'm starving to death is a typical thing that you might hear someone say. Man, I am famished and I am starving to death. That's not true. You're not going to die. You've probably got enough meat on the bone and fat under the skin. You could probably go about at least 10 days without food and you'd still be alive. Maybe longer. Maybe 30 days without food and be alive. So we got to quit saying things like that. You're not desperate. You're just hungry. Or you're hungry and empty, but you're not starving. You're not going to die. That's what you have to tell yourself. If I do not eat this cookie, I will not die. I am not starving. If I don't go back through the buffet the 3rd time, I will not starve and I will not die. When you're from a background of deprivation and scarcity, many times you overeat just because you're still compensating for this way of being raised. You're going to be hungry, but you're not going to die. You're going to experience some pain. Experience the pain rather than the peanut butter, is what I say. Feel it. It's not going to kill you, but it might lead you to the source of that pain and what is not resolved, whereas the peanut butter is simply going to lead you to the jelly and the bread. Not going to help much in the long term. And then you want to discover, am I attracted to food, or am I distracted, or is this a distraction from pain, heartache, sorrow, boredom, whatever it is? Sometimes you think, man, I just have to have a good old cheeseburger. But you start to realize, you know what, I don't have to have a cheeseburger, and I also don't have to be lonely and bored and just totally isolated from everybody. I can do something about that, and then maybe I don't feel a need for this wonderful cheeseburger. That's part of the concept. And then, of course, I've mentioned this, we are going to go for that state of weightlessness where I'm not defined by my weight. It's not even an issue. I'm just kind of normal looking. And I may never be, and you won't be, the perfection I see in the swimsuit ads, although they are adding some full-bodied folks. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to be healthy, and our goal is to look good. But first, before we can look good, we want to look better. And that's scary. When you start to look better, people start to say stuff about that, and then you're going, oh my goodness, if I don't keep it off, I'm going to be so full of shame. And so then all sorts of stuff. If I'm not working with a coach, I can really get off track.
Life recovery isn't just about making the courageous choice to give up an addiction or dependency. It's a journey towards health, wholeness, and becoming your very best you. If you need resources to help you in your journey, we can help. There are many life recovery resources that you can do on your own, with a group, or with your church. We have Bibles, workbooks, and devotionals that you can use to work your recovery right where you are. That's the beauty of life recovery. To learn more or to get the Life Recovery Bible or any other life recovery resource, visit liferecoverytoday.net or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Welcome back. You know, one of the ways that this lasting change has impacted many people is through Lose It for Life. It's weight loss in the area that we maybe least expect it to be. It's in the issue that drives us to eat. And so often people come up with some diet or something and they lose the weight and then they gain much, much more back. I want you to listen to the specific ways that we address weight loss in Lose It for Life. I hope and pray something here is going to help you if eating is the problem. Lose It for Life doesn't work if the person isn't talking. Doesn't work if they're not feeling the feelings and at least acknowledging that I'm eating because I'm uncomfortable, and if I could be more comfortable, I wouldn't have a need to eat. Then I need to move. And if I can only move this hand, I need to move this hand. I've got to get movement in. Listen. I need to stop telling people what to do and how to lose weight at 300 pounds. It doesn't help anybody. What I need to do is listen to something different. And that's that area of willingness. So if they're not listening to you, they're defending themselves, arguing with you, I've tried everything and all of that, you're going to have to break through that resistance. And then, of course, connecting with other people. It's hard for overweight people to connect with other folks in a healthy way versus faking it, because you'll see people that are overweight be looking so happy and joyful, and they're weeping in their bed back home. And then we have to have a plan that is going to succeed. So the first part of the plan to keep weight off is to have a safe environment that I'm going to eat in and a safe mindset that I'm going to eat with. So I literally, to begin my little program to lose weight, I stopped buying foods that would be available to me that were high calorie, high fat, all that stuff. And so my house was safe for me to eat in. Now I was single, so I wasn't in conflict with anybody while I ate, unless I had somebody over and then they were going to be friends or someone I was dating. So my house was a very safe place to eat. And I didn't just change what I ate, I changed how I ate. Fast food is fat food. Attack food comes out of fast food place. It attacks my body. It's not good for me. It's not healthy. And my mindset had to change. Here's one of the things that I said. If I go to a restaurant, it needs to be a restaurant that helps me have a great experience with food. Number one, I am buying this food from the restaurant. I am not at their mercy. I can ask them to fix it the way I want it. And then if they say we can't do that, I don't have to stay at that restaurant. Second thing is, I wanted to, because I was in a beach town, I wanted to eat where I could see the ocean or the sand or whatever. And so I just made it a great experience in the evening. So rather than go on the way home to McDonald's or something, I would plan on having a great dinner in a great place, or I'd be at my home and it would be safe and beautiful to look out. And that was so satisfying that I didn't have to eat the whole rest of the night. But grabbing a cheeseburger to eat with French fries and a Coke on the way home from work, no satisfaction, just stuff going in. So we want to change the mindset, change where we're eating, and to maybe even start taking a look at my eating patterns and my habits. But the big headline is, let's change our environment, let's change the way we see food, and let's change the whole concept of what food is for. It isn't to help me medicate myself, it's to put nutrition into my body. When I buy something, it's mine. And I don't have to like it. I don't have to eat it if I don't like it. For instance, if I go to a restaurant and I eat everything on my plate, but I didn't really like it, what a horrible thing. And I might have eaten everything on my plate just because Mommy told me, clean up your plate. People are starving in China. Well, whether I eat everything or don't eat everything, it does not impact starving children in China. You own the food. You can eat a fourth of the food that you own if that's the only amount you need, and let them have the rest back in the back of the restaurant. Or put the rest back in the refrigerator, whatever. We went to a restaurant at a birthday party the other day, and we had 7 people there, but it's like $200. But it wasn't really $200 because everybody took the leftovers home and they ate them for dinner the next night, so it was like $100. So anytime you go to a restaurant, if you could say, I'm going to try to eat about a third of this, and I'm going to have another third for another dinner at home, and then another lunch, wow, that was just 1/3 the price that I thought it was. That's the way we got to start looking at it versus this impulse, I got to stuff myself immediately. The second part of the plan is you're going to have to change your schedule. If you don't exercise, you don't start by exercising. You start by changing your schedule. And here's what I'm talking about. I started going to bed 1 hour earlier so that eventually I could get up an hour earlier. Now, what I did by doing that was the highest calorie intake time was that last hour I was awake. So I'm eliminating a full hour of high calorie intake potential, and I'm replacing it with an hour in the morning where I just don't eat that much in the morning. Okay, that's the first part of this plan. That's it. Change your schedule. Because you're not going to do a good job of exercising if you don't have time to exercise, and you're never going to have time or make it wonderful if you don't find a place for it. So you find the place by changing the schedule and getting used to the schedule change before you do anything else. Now, once I'm into this fresh hour, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend about, 20 minutes or so, devotional, prayer, Bible, things like that. And then I'm going to spend 30 minutes moving. If I can walk, I'm going to walk. But whatever it is, once I've got this new hour to start with, then I can move. Now, the reason I need this hour is that I don't know where I'm going to be in that final hour every evening. I might be out, eating till midnight and come home. Well, I can't exercise then. It's too late. But I know where I am every morning. I'm in the bed. And if I can get up early enough, I can get exercise out of the way. Now, you might say, well, it's really better to exercise at evening or whatever. I don't care. We have a weight loss problem, and this is something that I can do. And this is something that I did. Changed my schedule, and then once that was set, I began to start to exercise gently. What did I do? Well, I literally did the walking thing, because that's about all I could do. And then I started to do a little bit of weight lifting, because I wanted to add muscle. And when I lift weights, my metabolism is raised all day long, or a big portion of the day. And we know that the more muscle I have, the more calories are burned, and the more or the higher my metabolism is functioning all day long. So another thing about the morning, air is freshest in the morning. And yeah, you're going to get sore, but you're going to work through the sore. And health clubs are expensive, but not really. I mean, some of them are so cheap. I can't even believe how cheap they are. But if that's what you need to do, do it. But if it's an hour to get to a health club, well, don't do that. Get weights, get stretch bands, all these kind of things that you could do. And then I literally had to look at how and why I ate unhealthy. Was I a depressed eater? Was I an anxious eater? Or was I an angry eater? I wasn't an angry eater, and I really wasn't an anxious eater. I was more the depressed eater. And so I knew this. I could eat to try to make myself feel better, or I could go talk to somebody, or I could go for a walk. A lot of things I could do to make myself feel better rather than feel worse at the end of it. Then I started to substitute high-fat, high-sugar foods with something that was better for me. And I reduced the sugar. Sugar is really the enemy, not fat. Sugar is the enemy of the brain. It's the enemy of the body. And so everything I looked at, I started to look at the sugar content, and I wanted to eat less sugar. Here's the other thing. I needed to eat more meals every day. Let me tell you why. If I think that I'm not going to eat from 8 a.m. to noon, I'm going to eat a big old breakfast. But if I know that I am going to have a really nice little snack there at 10, I don't have to eat so much at 8. And I'm probably not going to eat that much at 10. And if at lunch, I know I don't have to eat, satisfy myself until 6 p.m. because at 3, I'm going to have something else, then it's going to go well for me. I'm not going to be packing in the food just to survive. And then Number 9, working on my relationships with other people, because I've got to find a way to have redemptive relationships, be comfortable with people, have healthy people, eliminate the unhealthy influences, set boundaries with people. And I need to be in groups where other people are there to support me. And that leads me to the last one, the groups. You need support groups. And you could be an overeater and work the recovery program in a codependency group. That would be just fine. Anything that addresses obsessions, compulsions, excess, that's what you want to be a part of. Now, put all this together, you can do everything I've said for the rest of your life if you need to. There may be some elements that you don't have to continue so much, but I know this, I can go lose about 10 pounds in 4 days on a no carb, no sugar, all protein diet. But the chances of me keeping that weight off are 0. It'll get me down, but I'm not going to eat all protein the rest of my life. That's impractical. That's my plan. That's the thing that has helped thousands of people not lose weight, but keep it off and build a better life for themselves. I can't thank you enough for watching, and I really do, as I've said, hope that you've heard something that's going to help, and that help produces lasting change for the good. You know, it is impossible under our own power to make some change, but it is possible to transform the way we think. We don't do that, though. The Bible says in Romans 12:2 that we need to allow God to transform the way we think. And then when we do that, we can come to know God's perfect will for our life. Now, isn't that amazing? It promises you let God change your thinking. Maybe the thinking is, I'm worthless, God doesn't love me. You let God change that. You surrender to Him, and you may end up living a life you never dreamed possible. Now, if you need help, I hope you'll call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have life recovery groups everywhere and online. I just hope and pray that if you need a group, you'll join Life Recovery Group. You can find out about it, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. In the meantime, we're going to see you next time right here. I maybe ask somebody to join you, play it, look at it, hear it again. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today, where we believe your past doesn't have to define your future. If you're ready to take the next step, we're here to help with Bibles, workbooks, devotionals, and more. Visit newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Your journey to healing and freedom can start right now. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay courageous, and keep moving forward.